Good afternoon. We begin the major session, almost of the whole forum, if we can say so, in terms of platform economy, which is dedicated to digital platforms and ecosystems. We're going to talk about the market in 2030. I hardly understand how can we forecast so long, like 2030. As they say in sports, plan is nothing, planning is everything. So what is this digital platforms 2030? So when we had the first session in St. Petersburg Economic Forum, Maxim Reshkin collected scientists, visionaries, and there was an apocalyptic picture drawn that depicted that all of the digital platform will take it over, and YouTube will be the place children will watch videos and making purchases. And probably kindergartens will be also directed by AI. And it will be pretty interesting. What will be happening in this sphere? What new technologies? How the relations between the state and business be growing? So our participants today, Mr. Igorov, Head Federal Tax Service, Dmitry Kim, Vice President for Government Relations, Ozon, Tatiana Kim, founder of Wildberries, Head RWB, Sergey Pivin, Managing Partner for Business Support, Avito, Ravshan Aliyev, General Director, MTS Ecosystem Group of Companies, Andrei Sharonov, Chief Executive Officer, National ESG Alliance. My name is Mikhail Khomich. I'm Chief Strategist of Web Bank. I will be moderating this session. It's great that today we dedicate a lot of time we practically can speak about everything, but not more than 5 minutes if you can follow this. So let us begin with digital platforms. What are happening in digital platform realm, and what can we change to reach certain balance? How to stimulate the development and avoid over-regulation? So tell us how the correct relations within or between platforms are built. Yeah, I remember the phrase that I actually perceived as a rhetoric, but we say the future is impossible to predict, but it is possible to create it. So the main goal of the sellers is to influence the future platform economy image. I would afford myself to give you a few numbers because you are well enlightened in this sphere. The turnover of the major digital platforms in 2024 actually was about 12 trillion rubles. It's a huge number. It's about 1/5 of the whole turnover, trade turnover in the country. And the largest platforms, digital platforms, actually are accountable for 10 billion ruble deals. Amount of deals. And another interesting figure from HSE, I believe they will publish this research very soon. They calculated that due to the development of platform economy, last year we have created additional amount of goods and services, so they would not exist if it was not digital platforms available. 3/10 of trillion rubles. So this is a great figure. So the digits responsible for GDP is like it almost reached 5%, and 80% of this amount is done by SMEs. So the platforms worked with 13 to 15 million people, of whom 7 million are regularly or constant platform users. As for the regulation, this is sort of very interesting essence. When it's a lot of it, it may make things worse than they are. So platforms appeared in Russia more than 20 years ago, and up to now they have been functioning pretty well without specific regulations. So they are working without specific regulation and legislation, but there were some issues with legislation, counterfeit production, taxi drivers, and customers' conflicts. And these conflicts were regulated through the dialogue between the platform and users of them. So this segment of economy became so huge that the professional community was really concerned about this. And what I would like to dwell on during our session, just a few moments, just a few points. First of all, I would like to remind you that we are in Russia. Yes, we worked out a principle which is called risk-oriented approach, to regulate not everything that is moving, but to regulate that or those things that bear significant risks. Another point is adaptive regulation. There is an analogy in this sense, like a French and English parks. For example, in one, they first paved the paths and roads, and in another approach, they let customers walk around and create these paths, and then they pave them. So we won't pave something we do not know how it will develop, but just another point which is important is transparency of our dialogue. Many things are decided through the dialogue between a user, between participants, and legislation should leave some space, some room for this dialogue to let the companies and users, operators, to let them continue such a dialogue and regulate this part of issues, so the ad hoc issues. Another point is the balance between domestic and foreign platforms. So we have a privileged situation because we have our own national platforms. Secondly, we perceive it as something given, but there are only 3 countries in the world who pretend to having own platforms, and we have to avoid such sad final when, for example, we create more platforms, national platforms, than foreign platforms. There is a tool which we can implement here, is a council of the market, let's call it this, and we accumulate all the stakeholders around a round table and let this organization to solve issues related to a platform from the standpoint of protection of interest of the customers, correct stimulating taxation. And in the conclusion, I would say that this regulation is to be stimulating. We have to avoid extremes such as weak legislation where we can see weak participants, and we have to be strong to be able to avoid strangling this growing sector, trying to put it into stringent frames that may kill it. Thank you, Andrei. Yes, let's give the round of applause to Andrei Sharonov. I think your phrase is very important that you mentioned. We have our own platforms, they compete with each other, and it is great. I used to work in a Western corporation long ago. I won't name it, but I remember exactly that the branches where we were strong, like, for example, ice cream market, the world was doing pretty much the same. But where we were lagging behind, nobody listened to us. So it's either they play our rules or we play somebody's rules.
However, in your speech, you have mentioned a lot of requests to this as to the regulator, the way they should regulate, how to arrange the paths, whether people should choose the way themselves or should you pave them immediately. And when I see this pavement, I keep on thinking, well, Sergei Semenovich is responsible for asphalt here, so I thought you invite him to discuss this issue. So let's discuss regulation. And by the way, I think that this is not a suitable example because you have made all these payments so convenient that I'm even displeased. I'm feeling to pay something to enjoy this system. However, you are head of the institution which forms the biggest data massive. You know everything about everyone. You are operator and a supplier. So what is your idea? How do you view development of relations in a cooperation of the state and digital platforms? And in addition, how do you view evolution of the administration for digital platform, tax administration? Thank you so much. You know, I remember once we had kind of preparation courses for military preparation, and one of the leaders was speaking, and he had some ideas about us, and he was trying to extrapolate on what is our difference between each other. And he said, what I don't understand in your agenda, in your discourse, there is always a story, whom you are going to take over and whom you are going to leave behind. And we are always investing in the point where we're better than others, in our competitive advantages. That is kind of philosophy on where to invest. Naturally, there are a lot of details there, but just generally. So it seems to me that it's quite hard not to agree that we are lucky due to the hard work of the colleagues who are present here, that we have a platform which will identify to a great extent the market of the future, for the reason that they provide an opportunity, number one, an access to demand, and B, they can help to reduce expenses. And I believe that basically we will see transformation of legal entities the way we know them from my point of view, because a lot of function of a legal body will be a kind of cut, just in the same way as we cut a cake. And the first thing related to regulation, which in my opinion is a very important and useful one, is that once we admit that that is truly a possibility to access demand, and we know that our platform is already outside the limit of our market, then the state here should provide assistance. And finally, so much money and so much effort were invested in order for us to have not only export of hydrocarbons, but also we have an opportunity now to arrange a channel for our sellers not to go through this hard way of entering a foreign market. And normally this work is done by our platforms. And here, I think the state should really invest. As to tax control, by the way, the export story, it's quite clear, which removes VAT and which requires additional expenses on control, should also be simplified considerably in this respect, number one. Number two, as to regulation, you know, I was thinking, we say that we are moving along the risks, but we see what is dangerous. But you know, the models of data which are being designed now, they are not even related to the risks. You know, once we have complete volume of digitalized data, well, we actually have 100% audit because we process everything we have. Once this is valid digital data, then there is no risk at all. The most important thing is to use proper method. That is why, of course, now we face some problems, that's true, and the company working through our platform are far and away not all clean. On the other hand, you know, the conflict that we are observing today, offline, online, that is quite clear, as long as expenses in offline are much more multiple, at least for today. And the issue of how these things are going to be integrated in the future. It will be harder and harder for us to divide between online and offline processes. And you remember that the electronics shops became kind of exhibition in order to order online, like marketplaces. No, I think it's not important. It's not important whose initiative is that. There will be kind of integration in this or that manner. And that seems quite obvious for me. What I'm going to say, everything has its own time for growth and for establishment. I'm quite for a long time in this profession. I remember how many questions we had to offline and network offline. We had a lot of questions, and that was pushed away step by step. The market was absorbed by big players. They invested more in stability. And generally, this market is quite clear for us today. Point number one. Point number two, can we say that small players who work with the platform are cleaner than those who work without the platform? Naturally not. There can be problems in both areas, but the fact that platform provides additional opportunity is quite obvious. I'm talking about the following thing. According to our practice, we know that once we have to use tools of tax control in relation to small businesses, that means that you have some exempt system of taxation, or you were divided, or you have a different revenue, but you have to be a general system of taxation. 99% means that the company will go bankrupt. This difference of tax burden just to pay for conventional 3 years is unreal. Most likely this will be a dead company. Do we want this? Of course not. Why should we do this if anyway it is going to be not anything special but destroyed business? And considering the fact that we have direct access to our clients and the platforms, and of course it's my opinion, I think Tatiana will say that that is actually a little bit different. So we need to find a way how to reach the players of marketplaces, the clients of marketplaces. Guys, please introduce some corrections in order for us not to get into this. It will be a much more careful way for the company to smoothly move to the legal environment, which is clear for us. That is mutually beneficial, and of course, as far as I imagine these marketplaces are trying to help, because this is for the benefit of the all stakeholders. And I remember the story with the self-employed implementation. And they said, by no means we can give it to the platform. We cannot allow self-employed to work at the platform. In Tax Park, they pay all the taxes. Well, and we decided to collect with a special subject for one big subject. That was 54 million rubles per year. We say, okay. And now these are billions, which they pay quite transparently. More than 80% in taxi business. The story is quite clear. What is the risk? Well, we have to admit monopolization is over. And for the most part, the player has eaten down all the rest. And what should we do with this for tax representatives? It's even good, and nothing will change. if we compare that to the markets, it will still be there and we have to pay additional taxes. Well, I'm not about this. It's kind of, I'm playing with the words. But we can integrate resources and the story with the state services and the services of the companies. Well, to me, as a person, as a client, well, I don't care which mark you will use to entitle the service. The main thing is for me to have this service available. Once we can be integrated, it should be done. Thank you so much. Just to add to what you have said, or just to continue your thoughts, is it possible for you to get united with the digital platforms? Because for me, Nalog.ru and the tax office, they know everything about me. But now I realize that digital platforms know much more about me. They know what kind of goods I was planning to buy, how much time I spent there, where I saw something interesting. Is it possible to get integrated and make a super service, or am I just fantasizing? I think that, well, the easiest is to answer, yes, we need to be integrated better. Again, this application, my Nalog says about this, or my tax. We're talking about paying taxes, and more than 50% of people are not in our application, my tax. What actually makes me feel anxious? In the personal account of a taxpayer, we have 54 million people. Why should they use our personal account just to pay taxes once a year? Well, they have nothing else to do in our personal account. Of course, they can double-check something, but actually there is nothing else to do. And in a year, most people forget their password, and there is a story of our password. You know the story, actually. Basically, we could provide open tools, open instruments to the areas where taxpayers are present, be it banks, platforms, and so on and so forth. But there is a problem that I see. How are they going to comply the standards of information delivery? Because we are dealing with such a fine thing for which the state will require from you once you are not paying. But how did you get this information? How did you do this? Well, definitely there is some standard behind this. And even bigger problem, how can I get feedback? Today I have a wonderful channel. I can ask anyone, I can do anything, and I will immediately get feedback from quite a representative audience. And now I have to arrange this feedback reception to the platform. And they have a lot of things to do as it is. And imagine how many other services, but for tax services, exist for the same requirements. And now you will have to fly with all these things as if you have upgraded your airplane as not to impossible limits. So it will be too much of services, I should say. So for that reason, we should carefully add to where it's working and not use motors. By the way, I remember quite a long time ago, Andrei, you said such a phrase that some feature solutions are no longer here. And here is the same thing. We just have to invent some careful, serviceable solution. It's really great that the first thesis was that the state should help, and that was the statement of the head of tax service. And this idea of export, we are in a web Russian export center room, and when you try to reach export and the digital platforms, you are automatically in export. Well, that is really great, and I would like to catch this idea specifically. And as to how you are going to regulate, it's quite clear, approximate. And this warning before you came, well, let somebody else warn about the coming. Tatiana, I think that at the forums, we have established a dialogue about who is going to show this, which kind of brand. This forum, you showed Nizhny Novgorod coffee, and once you showed it, it has become an absolute record maker. And normally, I was thinking how to respond to you. Normally, people take coffee with sweets, and I saw at Wildberries sweets which from Novgorod, and this is made of cream sticks with terrible design. I'm really sorry, forgive me, the founders. It's terrible to look at, but it proved to be that before they sold 750 kilograms and now 5 tons. And it grew by 377% with your promotion. through growth platform? It's not a very nice question. Are you choosing a company just like this randomly? You will be lucky, and in this region you will be lucky, and the cream sticks will wake up in a miracle world of chocolate the next day. So you really decide what will happen with the destiny. You taught me not to use the word marketplaces, and digital platforms are already much more than marketplace. Well, with what I have mentioned above, how do platforms develop, and but for these relations with entrepreneurs are possible in the nearest futures, and which technologies identify the leadership of the digital platforms in the nearest future? Yes. Next time I will bring something else, and we will have a fight within the year at different forums, and thus we will promote native manufacturers. Yes, as to the sweet, it was really funny. You know, they would have sold much more than 5 tons, but their capacity could not allow that. And now every time we communicate with the region, so by the way, it's not us who identify the manufacturers, and we do this. And with the regions, there are some limitations naturally, and we help to resolve something, for instance, lack of trademark, or there can be some problems, and we have requirement that localization should be no less than 60%. And we provide all possible assistance, and we tell people how they should enter the market. And then we ask them, are you sure you will be able to sell 5 tons instead of 750 kilograms?
Actually, if we talk a little bit about the growth platform, we are very proud of this project. We launched it with a Strategic Initiative Agency. So why? Because along with solving an issue of particular manufacturers, there is a more serious task, so a federal or state level. It happens that it was sort of an unplanned efficiency. So when you are going across Moscow, you can see on the advertising banners that this item is produced in Novgorod or some other region, Altai, Kalmykia, Krasnodar region, Tambov. To me personally, when I am driving and seeing such things, I feel myself proud, because in Russia, in a particular location, there are things like that being manufactured. And as a global story, the development of digital platforms gradually, maybe not all at the same time, but gradually they all turn into ecosystems, and they are able to solve global, more scaled tasks. So if we are able to decrease costs and arrange the efficient way to deliver these values to the end consumer, any citizen can get this service. Of course, the state is also having their own digital platforms, and now we are experiencing next evolution stage. So the ecosystem across the country is developed, and such ecosystems are solving tasks of the state level. I would repeat myself, it is an ecosystem product, such a platform. And we presented today with Andrei, we presented our environment project that has as its foundation offering spaces for entrepreneurs to let people sell their products through us. So now we create this platform that people could not only sell but also produce their own goods. And this is such a network between businesses and SME owners. For example, one is producing something and another one is using it for producing their own goods. So we can get it done with our growth platform. There were people asking us in Murmansk, for example, you have shoemaking manufacturing facility, and where do you get the raw materials for it from different places like Caucasus and other places. Furthermore, yesterday we communicated with Minister of Far East Russia Development. They mentioned that they have people in 23 regions that are collecting or gathering different products from wild nature. For example, there was a meeting with one of the person from Tatarstan. They told us how they deliver berries to certain points, collecting points, and when they produce raw materials at a large scale, whatever it is, wood or some granules of polyethylene, with our help they find a manufacturer that will produce these goods, these consumer goods, in all their variety, and this is an ecosystem in itself. So tomorrow we have a youth day, and we are going to tell about our projects that we actually implement. We sign agreements, we launch chairs, and we go further with these institutions that we are planning to launch classes across the country in some tracks like biology, physics, maybe economics. Yeah, we had a very fruitful talk in this regard. What other tracks didn't you take yet? If we take horizontal things, you asked where are we striving to. So the digital platform should become a strategic partner of the state, and our company is able to do that. We signed agreements with Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, and we are going to help their entrepreneurs to develop with us and simultaneously solve some other issues, supporting cultural codes, assisting girls to getting the education. And speaking of our nearest plans of horizontal development, where are we going? Where are we trying to reach out? I will tell you that in the nearest future we are planning to launch a reader, because we are selling about 50% of some reading materials across the country, and we realize that we have to develop there as a digital company, and we have a great responsibility for what people are going to read through us. It is impossible to take care of this development not taking into account young authors. If we take the popular topic of the last forum, the arguments between banks and popular platforms like marketplaces and those who develop actively in fintech, and they are going to present our projects. We have launched maps. We are doing a little bit more than our colleagues in this field. Ozon was among three top leaders, like card emittents, plastic card emittents. This product is now available only to our employees, but further our customers will be also able to get these cards, and they can pay with them. Not only on our platform, but offline as well. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, I am even becoming a little bit scared, and at this point I would like to give the floor to Vladimir. I am a user of VK. Everything is great. Social media, probably the only social media, Russian social media, social network. My kids are watching it, browsing it. But what are they doing there? They are looking for goods. And these guys on the stage, they are becoming a substitution for social media. And this is a great question. Where is it all going to? What goods do you consider most prospective? I believe you are not afraid of competition. How are you going to build relations with other players? I will reply in a complex way. First of all, new technologies are developing so rapidly that our kids and new generation, we even can see the difference between Zoomers and Millennials, how they change. It is a normal process because there are different services approaching, emerging, and we are moving to a world which is getting more personalized, both in terms of age categories and based on your interests and many other things. Some of them are targeting youth, or somebody is targeting middle age or elderly generation. We observe trends and we can see that there are more and more services on the platforms that are represented. Not long ago we launched a messenger and ecosystems are moving towards us, and we have to answer the question, either you are building the open platform or closed platform. Yeah, we believe that we are building the open platform. We partner with everyone. We, for example, when we are talking about the development of video content with social media and electronic trade, e-commerce, we launched Ozone. We integrate video. We use the experience of China, and the general meaning of this, that the future should eliminate extra barriers that are there now. We have to, for example, if you can watch a video, you remembered it, you find some similar things and click on some link and get the point, you can pay for it. We have strong e-com positions in the world. We continue this type of approach, and of course we also have a strong artificial intelligence model. Another important thing that is developing now, investments. It is impossible to enter artificial intelligence if you are not able to spend or invest billions, dozens of billions of rubles. For example, GigaChat Max is now available to most of the users, and our response is partnership, finding solutions in technological fields that would be able to integrate seamlessly. For example, we built mini service widgets. Many companies are launching their own applications for payments. For example, we signed a contract with a system for personal payments. I think that when you look at the world in a more wider sense, the world does not perceive separately e-com, social commerce, and things like that. We yesterday discussed examples of Alibaba, how they have become a monopolist in the Chinese market. In general, it shows that such an economic model enable people to partner and build relations, being open to partnerships. So you are not going to build your own separate marketplace, but you invite everyone to make friends with you, right? Sometimes our applications, unfortunately, are blocked by some other countries, and we have created a Rostorg application, and we have been discussing how can we create such a closed system where you can pay for some goods. So there are policies, and our applications should comply with certain rules. And currently we have more than 100 million users that downloaded this application, and the monthly audience is reaching 6-7 million of people. The more users are there, the cheaper the application is for our users. Thank you so much. A few minutes, several times we have mentioned Ozon. Dmitry, my question is for you regarding the regional brands. You have a filter to choose the region. It is from some time ago. I remember once in some country, I won't mention what country was that, there was meat for sale, and it was a toothpick with a flag, and they answered, why was that? Because from this small region, from this city, so this was their pride that they are producing this kind of product.
How they will contribute to development of regional economy and small businesses? Yes, thank you so much for this question. Good afternoon, everyone. We were really the first to start regional windscreens, and next time we are ready to give you some goods from our marketplace so that there would be no other questions. I will definitely choose something special for you. Actually, once you haven't seen our stand, we are located in the regional part. We are right in the middle, and we made a panel there on the upper stores. We have the clients, the demand of which we satisfy, and at the lower floors of stores we have the stories of our brand, sellers, our entrepreneurs, manufacturers. All your communication or our cooperation in this forum is arranged around the theme on how we can be useful for each other, regions to us and we to the regions. Of course, without this development there would be nothing, and there anyway we need land, we need labor resource, and everything was based on this. And when we say what we can do for the region, how we can be useful, we have 40 regional windscreens. And this region says what is done at a specific region, and we give statistics for all the sellers who is registered with us, what is their turnover, what they sell, what they look like, and thus regions can be there. The measures of support that they have for small and mid-sized businesses, for specific types of goods which are sold in this specific constituent entity, or for specific types of manufacturing. We have already agreed about this. I am not going to provide an example of a big constituent entity. Well, everyone can do it with the money, and we agreed with Khomich, and we should arrange the days of Kalmykia Republic for our entrepreneurs. We will provide measures of support, the measures that Kalmykia has created, and we will demonstrate it to our entrepreneurs. There was a very active discussion around the delivery points. You know, we have a format of the in-house delivery point when you can open it in your house, in garage, and they're quite popular. 115,000 points of delivery in our district we have 25,000 points. In small settlements or villages or small cities, small towns with the population less than 30,000 people. We are actively developing there. I'm not going to tell the region with whom I discussed it. And by the way, this region is quite close to you. And there is a big number of settlements where currently a delivery of goods is arranged. And among them, there is even a choice, which is a little bit less. Approximately, we are talking about 1,400 settlement points in a constituent entity in a region, and there are no shops which can be mobile. And, you know, we discussed that possibly the local delivery points is a way to increase access. There is, of course, last-inch problematics, but a lot of people approached us and said that they're ready to invest in the ports. We tell them, create, we will use it for sure. Any task can be resolved. The main thing is to approach this resolution somehow. And in this respect, we are not striving. We are a digital platform, and we are not striving for becoming an ecosystem. We are not going to be limited and submerge everything. We are developing in a partnership, and we have already mentioned several projects of ours. I have my favorite one. We have already integrated Ozon Travel into Mox Messenger. It is available now. Maybe it doesn't have a lot of functions, but that is my favorite project for the reason that by the beginning of next year, I hope I will be able to get into the hotel at the territory of Russia with a QR code from Messenger. I do believe in this because my passport will die in the nearest years. So our strength is in our partnership. Thank you so much. It's really nice that, well, at this stage, we already start establishing some internal partnership. And the taxes see it, of course, it's good. Wonderful. Talking about platforms, there is an unusual word. I do not really understand what it means. It means the word is classified. Avito calls itself this way for some reason, but actually that can be a totally different platform where people can interact. And I remember that like 3 months ago, I was in Chukotka region, and there we had representatives of Avito saying that it's convenient to provide these services and locate there. Well, it's a new marketplace of services. Sergey, what do you think? What kind of innovations do you have, number one, and what kind of innovations in digital platforms will identify the future by 2030? Thank you. First and foremost, I'm happy that out of all the beauties of Chukotka, the presentation of Avito was most impressive. We really tried hard and will continue trying. But to be serious, I say that all the innovations in digital platforms are related to technologies anyway, and identifying the basic ones, and they have already been touched upon here. So first and foremost, that is making platforms multi-component and allow more and more integration with other providers inside the platform. The platforms are arranged so that there is no one cell, there is one platform to which different services are added, and thus tendency is being continued by external providers and other platforms now. There is a good example for using bank ID or any other types of ID from state services, for instance, to verify users at the platform. We have 2/3 of users who are verified like this, and out of them, 2/3 use bank ID. Sber ID, Alpha ID, VTB ID, it's convenient, but these are services of other platforms. Number two, I totally agree with what Vladimir has mentioned. We arrange our system and platforms so that this integration with all our partners would be easiest. We know how to do this, but at the same time, for us, it is of utmost importance to provide seamless client experience. Our customers have high expectations, and we should comply with this. Once we can do it, it will work in a good way. And our example here is like this. People mentioned cards and finances. We have built-in financing. We work with the partners, mainly like white label principle. The user should be sure that Avito provides for the quality of the user's experience, regardless of whether this is a purchase at the platform, communication at the platform, or financing of the platform. The second trend, possible trend, is hyper-personalization. If I may, I would like to ask a question to the audience. Is there anyone who, once you enter Avito, for some reason, would suddenly stay longer for several minutes looking through the feed of recommendations? Raise your hands if it happened to you. It happened to me as well, so that is the effect of hyper-personalization. Every Avito user has his or her own Avito, and with several clicks, you are already recognized as a model of behavior in our algorithm, and we are trying to recognize what is interesting for you, and that works. More than half of those looking through the feed of recommendations make a click. In average, we have 10 clicks from the recommendation feed in comparison to the search, and more we see that there is a model that a person would make a deal from recommendation and not from the search. Trend number three, everyone is discussing, is generative AI, which builds in the user experience. And in our case, it's quite clear that this is generation of images or assistance in image generation, improvement of images, assistance in making advertisements, and we are actively implemented this technology into the search, as I have already mentioned. And further on, there is an issue of whether and how the main scenario of interaction and navigation in the platform will change. We are talking about well-known AI agents, and everyone in the world are already using them, and we are also in this team. The question is how these agents are going to interact with the user and the platform, and now I believe this theme is among the top problems which are being resolved by most of the platforms. Thank you. We are accelerating, but I can't but ask one question. Vladimir said that he is not going to do this, and Tatiana said that she wants to make a bookstore, and all the booksellers got upset. Then Ozon would want to do something. How do you feel that at some point Ozon or WB would say that we want to make a service for services? Let them try, we'll compete. Well, actually, we are never upset. We are very positive about the world, including about the competition. In Avito, we have 5 main values. I'm not going to quote all of them, but the first says that everything starts with the need of the customer. Once the customer is interested in that, it is wonderful. Thank you so much. And it is very nice to host entrepreneurs sessions, because only here we can see that competition is great. Thank you. Let's discuss unusual digital platforms. Well, it's quite regular for us, but not about goods, but about services. Yandex. I think everyone has already tried to use it within the frames of the Leaders Forum. And as to taxi, this Yandex taxi service is every day with us. And on 2021, a law on taxi came into force. And for 3 years, Yandex acts within the frames of regulations. Please, Anton, briefly share the condition of the current market, further plans and strategy of Yandex. Anton Petrakov.
Colleagues,
Good afternoon. We are joking that the law on taxi is the first law of economy because it describes the responsibility of digital platform, of our interaction with the performers, registration model of interaction with the state bodies and authorities. And basically, the market is already regulated. As to this part, you can see the way market feels. We have assessed our contribution into GDP, and now it's 0.5% into the GDP of our country. This figure is divided into two parts. 0.2 is our earning, the earning of drivers and partners, and 0.3% of GDP is the bigger part. This is indirect effect. And talking about the future, 2030, and some close prospect, I think that we should consider this effect for the digital platforms of interaction with the state, and we see the properties of the platform, and we will see in which direction we should move. Number one, employment. The main principle of a platform, quite easy entry, so that a person would be able to earn, and we value the platform for this, and people value because they can earn, and quite quick exit from this profession or from this type of activity. Out of 1 million of taxi drivers in our country, 50% of people are those who have this work additionally to some other job. They perform 50% of orders and work 20 hours per week or less, and we have important social effect. Naturally, people earn, people are employed, and I think that this is experience of ours and colleagues from other digital platforms, and we can spread it over other spheres where we have employments in working positions, blue collars, and so on. We see this tendency. Number two is related to taxes. It has already been mentioned that we have implemented a very big and deep projects with the Federal Tax Service, with the tax regime, tax over professional income. More around 3 billion ruble monthly is sent to the budget from a tax market within the frames of this law, and we technically know how to make a tax deduction. We remove this function from the performer. It's good. Number three, this is coexistence with other industries, because we are not in vacuum, and we understand that as we are developing, we are competing somewhere, or we are just starting somebody else's deeds.
And it is important not to push each other, but to find correct and constructive solutions. For example, not long ago, we have adopted some regulation regarding the OSAGO policies, and we have noticed there is some demand which was not fulfilled and which was not met. And as a matter of fact, this is our contribution to regional economy. In many regions, we fulfill the public transportation function. So we substitute some of the local transportation routes, and it is important to integrate to urban environment and organically develop parallelly with public transportation, develop our own mobility means, and so that the urban environment would become comfortable for people. So we integrate these solutions and are talking about the possibility to influence both urban environment and general transportation. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about MTS. Ravshan, the question is for you. You are in the process of building an ecosystem. There are many users. I am your user as well. You know, there is a wide functional possibility for our users. Don't you afraid that somebody will tell, we are an operator as well? So are you going to compete with these guys as marketplaces do between each other? Yeah, dear colleagues, first of all, I would like to tell you that we launched pilots where you can use our system to check in at a hotel, for example. There are many other options. Secondly, If we are talking about the ecosystem, there are different people, and different people, impose various meanings on this concept. But the essence of it is that it is a digital middle ground for between the client and service, and you have a good platform. It is your means for collaboration with consumers. We have great variety of different approaches, IT, fintech, telecom, and people asked us, what are you planning up to 2030? It is kind of a difficult thing to plan for so long, but we consider that we are at a threshold of significant changes in using artificial intelligence in our work. In a few recent years, we discussed a lot about models and practical application, AI agents in particular. And these AI agents in a practical field will significantly change the client paths and client services. And due to this, on the one hand, we have a new term. There is a competition, and now Go petition appears. So you compete and cooperate all at the same time, practically with all of your colleagues. So we, people we collaborate with, we have more or less some joint products or projects with any one of them. What else I would like to emphasize? People say a lot about the development of AI, real-time data monitoring. All of it brings the infrastructure possibilities directly to high-speed data transfer. It is impossible to do this without the implementation of 5G, as a matter of fact. We see that a few billion people have been using 5G across the globe, and it really brings pretty significant development with it. So we expect pretty interesting times ahead and technological progress in many ways. Thank you so much. Yeah, so give our speaker a round of applause. We are concluding our session. Dmitry, I would like to get to Xi'an. It's a special marketplace, a specific one. It's not just a marketplace, but it's a marketplace, it's a platform for goods with a very high level check, high value check. What plans do you have? How do you cooperate with your consumers? How you view yourself in this aquarium by 2030? Dmitry Grigoriev, you get the floor. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to speak here. And I have listened to our speakers. I represent such mono-vertical classified vertical digital platforms. We have to understand that we built our digital platform around realty, and this ecosystem of services that is built around property and fintech services that enable people to buy flats or apartments online, choosing a realtor. CGM users in realty is a very wide market, and for some people it's the one lifetime deal, and checks of such deals are counted by millions of rubles. And if we take any platforms like that and their contribution to the economy, in 2024 we know that it was about 20% of realty sold through digital platforms. And this is just new built buildings, but there is also secondary living from monoplatforms like Xi'an, but there are some platforms that are concentrated on tourism, and realty is some secondary layer. So 1 ruble invested brings around 4.5 rubles of profit, because after purchasing the apartment, a person buy other services, and so this is their contribution to our GDP. So these are huge numbers, actually. And we try to digitize our results, and we calculated, and 0.3% it's what we bring into the country's GDP. What else is important? We strive to actually reach such a social mission that actually help our people to develop and get better living for family, find an affordable living, to assess how much should the apartment cost, and many other things related to security of the deal and other issues. Thank you very much, Dmitry. Dear colleagues, it seems to me that we had a pretty interesting session today, because on the one hand, everyone told about their peculiarities of their new projects, advertised themselves, told a little bit about how they are going to make friends with each other, even though they are competitors with each other. We are competitors, but we are together. And someone say, we are conducting open policy and are welcoming everyone. And of course, we have to help each other to promote our goods and services cross-border, and pave the way. And it was an exhausting introduction of the state position in terms of how to properly collaborate with each other using the platform possibilities. And Mr. Oreshkin participated in our discussion as well. Yes, I believe that this was a great discussion. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.